Hello again. We constantly see the suggestion being made these days that the lack of one gender or the other in some profession or walk of life, or the fact that there are more white people than black involved in some hobby or pastime, are both indications of prejudice and discrimination at work. The culprits are almost invariably said to be white men who are supposedly fighting a desperate rearguard action to keep women or black people out of this or that university, job, or leisure activity. Of course, it may be so, but there might, on the other hand, be a simpler explanation, which is that different groups of people tend to be interested in different things. I realise this is a startling idea, although it seems on the face of it to explain most of what we observe. So let's have a little look at the notion. I'll use one or two examples from my own life to illustrate the point which I'm making. So this is really not a scientific study. For some years I worked in the construction department at the local further education college. This consisted of three sections: plumbing, brickwork and electrical installation. During the whole of that time, among the hundreds of students who passed through the courses, only three were girls. Those girls fitted in perfectly well and were readily accepted by the boys. No sexism was preventing girls from learning how to mix cement and lay bricks, but they preferred to study hairdressing and childcare. I do not believe that sexism was at work here, unless in a broader sense that society itself is sexist and that those girls have been subliminally conditioned not to like dirty outdoor work, but prefer to learn about babies and dyeing hair. It was simply a matter of choice. The boys didn't want to learn about hairdressing and the girls didn't want to get involved in the construction industry. It is not sexism which ensures that there are so few women working on building sites. It is that most women and girls have no desire at all to do so. In just the same way, I used at one time to help run a chess club in East London. Most of the kids who came were white, but there were a fair number of kids from Hindu families, Gujaratis for the most part. There was not a single black child. Go over to Hackney Marshes, though, nearby where the chess club used to run, and where there are a dozen football pitches, and you'll see a hugely disproportionate number of black kids, quite a few white boys, and not a single person of Indian or Pakistani heritage. I don't think that racism is at work here. It is rather that playing football is something which a lot of black kids like, whereas chess is not. In the same way, playing chess is something which some Gujarati Hindus like to do in a way that kicking a ball around is not. These personal choices affect the future, of course, because it explains why there are only one or two good black chess players in the world and loads of good black footballers. Then a new generation of black children see black footballers as their role models rather than mathematicians, physicists or chess players. I rather think that we can see this in such things as visiting museums, taking up boxing, studying to be an architect, rap music, medicine, and 100 other areas of both leisure and work. The great myth of our times is that the lack of women or black people in some area must inevitably mean that something fishy is going on. The idea that people are free to make choices and decide for themselves what jobs they take or how they spend their time at weekends never seems to occur to anybody. This is, of course, a conspiracy theory, although it's seldom spoken of as such. It is predicated on the belief that white men are a group rather like the Freemasons, who are at work ensuring that only other white men can take up angling as a hobby or become physicists. They operate a closed shop and do their damnedest to stop women getting on or to allow black people to become quantity surveyors. Obviously, we must break the pernicious influence of this group and loosen the stranglehold which they have on Western society. Simply replace the phrase white men with Jews, Freemasons, the Illuminati, or shape-shifting alien lizards, and there is a perfect instance of a modern conspiracy theory. And of course, just like those other conspiracy theories, it's absolute nonsense.